Are you a realist? Do you think you have a total handle on what reality is? What if our version of reality is not God's reality? What if our presuppositions and mildly negative thoughts that we're having all throughout the day are actually counter to what God thinks? And so if you struggle with this, like I've struggled with this, I want to give you some tips on how you can overcome this and what to do even throughout the day so that you catch these early on, but it can be a problem. There was a time where I was just sitting on my couch on a Saturday morning and there was an email that came in. That email was negative about what I was doing, and I should not have been reading my email on Saturday morning. But what happened was it triggered a thought that was a little more negative, and then another thought that was a little more negative. And by the end of a few minutes, I was having like a panic attack, ready to quit my job and move on, and said, this thing's going to go bad. And I stopped and I prayed, and God shifted it. There was another situation where there was a relationship that I was in, and this scenario had emerged where they were going to do something really bad, and they had said they were going to do it. They were doing it in anger in this whole situation, and I was like, I'm going to confront this and I'm going to address it. And I stopped and I prayed. I said, God, what is your perspective? And what he said is I want you to pray for them for 2 days. Don't say anything, just pray and watch what I do. And I prayed intentionally for 2 days, and 2 days later they came back and they said, you know what, God spoke to me. I'm sorry, I repent, and they totally changed their way. Now, if I had gone with my version of reality, I would have jumped in and confronted this and that and probably would have ruined the whole thing. And so because God's the one that actually knows what's going on, what you can do is when you're in these situations, you have these negative thoughts, you have these, I've got a handle on reality, which is actually pessimism in disguise. You stop, you pray, you ask God's perspective, and then what happens is he'll lead you into real truth, into reality. In the Bible, in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, it says, we demolish arguments and every pretense that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. This is what we can do as believers by stopping, by praying, and by getting his perspective. I'm trying to make it longer. It's hard to make it longer.
You can say if you're wondering how do I get his perspective, you get it by hearing his voice. Go check out my.
Okay.
This is the Freedom for the Willing. Well, it probably goes in Hearing God.
Yeah, we'll go Hearing God.
Okay.
If you're curious on how to get that perspective, check out my course on hearing God's voice so you can go deeper in dialoguing with Jesus and truly getting free. I threw freedom in there for fun.